you can see there are some wire are unplugged. That electric crane and the beam was attached to this round part to the left, but it's almost falling down.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our stern section dive footage review with PH Nargeolet. PH Nargeolet has dove to the Titanic more than 30 times, and he has expert insight into the wreck, and he especially enjoys the stern section, as you will hear later in this video. Again, thanks for joining us, and please like and subscribe to our channel, OceanGate Expeditions, so you do not miss any of our other dive footage reviews or dive footage releases. Let's go ahead and talk to PH.
It's for 34 years now, and it changed a lot, and especially the stern section, because originally in the stern section, I'll have to say many walls or many part of the ships, they were straight up. But since 1998, something like that, a lot start to fall down. And now almost everything is flat. Just you still have the reciprocative engine on one side and the poop itself on the back of the stern, where you still have the deck, and you can see a part of the deck was upside down, because when the stern go down, you know, the engine, as the engine, they were the heavy one, it was like if you take a glass, you know, going down, and a part of the deck with when you go have like an implosion, and an implosion, because you have air trapped in the stern section. When you have the implosion, and an implosion is always followed by an explosion, and that means that was the deck was turned back like that, and you can see now the deck is above the stern section, you know, part of it. And at the end of the video you send me, you can see just it's like a sardine cane. When you open a sardine cane, you see exactly, and you can see this round part at the end of because the sub was turning, and first it was going from I would say, close to the reciprocative engine to the hand of the stern. But after, in one part of the video, it turned back and is going the other way. That's why we just see when the deck was bent a lot.
So how many times have you personally been to the stern section, PH?
It's hard to say, but probably more than a half of the time of my dives. I mean, it's probably 15 times, because generally we were divided always a dive in a part of looking at the wreck, and I will say sometimes we were on the bow, sometimes on the stern, sometimes at both of them. That's why I was there many times. And for example, in 1998, what I did, we put a camera on the side of the sub, and I do 8 loops around the stern, coming up and down, and turning. And with all this picture, a guy was doing like a photo mosaic of the stern section. And I saw a lot of difference, you know, turning around, because I was looking at all the detail. And the last time I was there, I saw a lot of difference, you know. That was in, we were not diving, because the last time it was in 2010, but I had a lot of video of that, and I saw some difference between 98 and 2010, a lot of difference, you know.
And from what I've been told, that the stern section is, you know, one of the least visited parts of the wreck. Can you speak as to why expeditions typically don't go to the stern, or?
Yeah, it's because, you know, the bow section is better. You know, you can recognize a lot of things. Other section is much harder. Even you will see, if I describe what we see, there is some part you cannot say what it is because it's just wall going down and down and down. But what I remember, that's why I was talking that at the beginning, in 1987, when I was visiting the stern, sometimes I didn't know where I was. I was almost lost inside because there was big wall on each side, and I don't know where I was. But now it's easy, but in some part it's very difficult because you can see, for example, the aft mast is still there. You can see a bunker hatch, which is probably number 5 or number 6. I'm not 100% sure because they were very close from each other. The other one, you don't see it because it was probably covered by something with follow on it. We saw some electric crane. That mean, and I'm sure of that because you can see even the fuse inside the electric crane, and some detail like that. And of course, the poop, you can still see the propeller. You can see very well the propeller, and there is some on the top, above the propeller on the deck, on the half deck, there is some coral. And I look at this coral for 34 years, and they are growing and growing, and now they're absolutely beautiful because they're like about, I will say, almost 2 feet high, like a big coral. And I took picture, and I have picture, different years. Because this time I'm going to the stern, I want to look at them because I saw them growing and growing. And now there are much more than at the beginning. At the beginning, there were like 2 or 3 little white stuff. That's it. And now I tell you, they are big like that, with a beautiful coral open, and they are absolutely stunning,
Wow. You have such a unique perspective, having seen it over 3.5 decades. So it's really exciting. Well, I know that this video has done really well on our YouTube, and we have a lot of people watching it. So I think they'll really enjoy being able to hear you point out different features because, like you said, it is really hard to tell what is what. So I'm going to click over to the video now and start that playing. I'll make myself smaller. Let's have this go. And let's play the video. And then I'll ask you a couple more questions at the end, but we'll roll into our stern section video now.
Okay, now the sub is almost in the middle of the stern, at the axe of the stern, starting from the reciprocative engine. We don't see them because they are behind the sub, and going to the half deck, in the direction of the half deck. And here on the left, there is like a little black window, and close to that, there is even a part of the bottom of the ship with a water intake. That one of the wall will fall down. Is very close from the part that was the third class area, on the deck, second class and third class area. I think that coming is probably, yes, it is one bunker hatch. I don't know if it is number 5 or number 6, because there were 4 of them on the back, 2 on the side, and they are not like that, but that is one of the number 5 or number 6. After that, you have some, it's probably a part of the, I don't know, of the wall will fall down. That is stuff, you can see a Galatea, which is like a crab, white one. There are a lot of animals on the stern. That it could be, but full of stuff. There was a hatch. If it's the first one was a 5, this one could be the 6, just on the bottom. And that is because after the hatch number 6, the deck go up, and now we are on the higher part of the aft section. And on the right side, there is a piece of concrete that's from the floor. And that is the part is upside down because you can see the beam. That is the ceiling of something, or a side. You see on the side there is like an opening. There is a big pipe here. And you see all this kind of string. That is like a coral. And there are fishing plankton or microscope stuff, with little hair they have on everywhere, like a very small anemone. That is a different view, still going to the back of the ship. That this wall, I don't know exactly what it is because it's hard. You can see all it's not the rivets, but it's something was, and you can see the reinforcement, on the side, on the left side, and on the other side, it could be, it's also a wall of somewhere, but it's not the hull itself. It's too thin to be the hull. And you can see that it's not on the side of the ship. It's almost close to the middle. And that you have some hole, that porthole is a part of the structure which fall down. It's very, very hard to know what it is. If you want to know, you have to turn around and go on the side and going back and forth like that. You can see which level you are exactly, and with a good drawing, you can decide where and found where exactly the sub and what it is. That and all the stern section is like that, and around the stern section you have also in the debris field huge pieces of metal everywhere. That in this part, I will say the bottom itself, the sediment is maybe 20 feet, 30 feet down. Impossible to know what it is. That on the right side is one of the electric crane. Is a base of the electric crane, and they were on the stern section. You had a 6 electric crane like that. And you can see that where is the beam is attached, and you see like a little square panel on it. And when the sub will be closed, you can see even some fuse on the electric fuse. The round stuff, the little one. That's all kind of fuse. You see the 2 little round stuff, and that fuse. And you have all the connections, the electric connection above. You can see some wire are unplugged. That electric crane and the beam was attached to this round part to the left, but it's almost falling down. That's completely the aft of the ship. Now the sub turned and is going back in the direction of the reciprocative engine. And that's what you see in front with a kind of long beam, that the deck was upside down and fall on the aft. And there was on the right side, just before, there was like a fair lead. That shows that it's half deck because it's where the rope we're using to attach the ship to the pier. And that is all it was a ceiling of close to the third class entrance and all this part. And it's a huge part which is, upside down. And at the end of this part, you will see that it's going like around, and you don't see anything on the other side because it's not very deep. But as a sub doesn't have a camera, we can go down, you don't see the bottom. But there is a railing, you see the railing here, with 3 bars. That part of the railing, which is around the third section. This beam, the one with perpendicular to the other one, is probably the middle of the ship. And you can see the concrete. Before we were seeing that the other way. I don't know if you remember, but one time there is this, and that is now where the stuff is going down. And on the previous picture, the sub was going 180 degrees the other side.
Very cool. Oh, well, thanks. I mean, there's so much more to see there. Was there anything in that video that you thought was surprising or something that you weren't expecting, looking at the stern after?
No, but there are still a lot of stuff we can. But with the deterioration, what happened? Sometimes you have new hole, and you can see more inside. And I'm sure in this year, this summer, I would like to go back to, because I love the stern section because it's very difficult. And watching video, I learned a lot because, when you are, and after it's easy for me to see more detail because I know where I am, I know what I have a chance to see. And it's very interesting for that. And more, I think we will see inside of the ship because you still have not everything is not collapsing already. Like there is one part and what we were above that really was hard to see. And if you go a little bit on the side, you can see some window. It's not porthole, it's window because they are above the main deck. And you can see there is still like 5 or 6 of them. And I would like to see if they are still there, or if they collapse. And it's an interesting part because it's very difficult.
So the corals that you were talking about too, I wanted to ask, are those long white ribbon?
No, that's coral. But the one I'm talking, it looks like Marconi. Yeah. They have like on some the system for playing disc and stuff like that. I will say was the logo of Marconi was a big, like a trumpet or something like that. Yeah. That's the kind of stuff. But they are like now 2 feet high with a beautiful. I can send you. I sent some picture of that to Alex because she and they are unbelievable because now they are so beautiful and they are big and they are wide like that, and they are like one especially. So the ones that are smaller, but you can see that a lot of growing around and maybe in, I don't know, 100 years or I don't know. So this part will be completely covered. Actually, they are fixed on a tank. I don't know, it's probably a water tank, a small water tank. Above this deck was, upside down. It was probably this tank was attached to the ceiling of I don't know where, and now of course is the other side, and they are growing on this tank, and they are you can see them from far because they are white as soon as you use the light of the sun, they pop up very well.
Well, I'm excited for us to return this year because we have all the marine biologists that are coming, especially with our eDNA study, seeing all what is down there. So
that's very interesting.
I was excited before, but now I'm even more so. But I have one more question here, and then I'll let you go because I know you've got other things. But since it is, we're getting closer and closer to the 110th anniversary of the sinking, why do you think Titanic has had such a pull on our attention for the last 110 years?
I will say that's a very good question that I'm asking to myself very often. But more and more, I'm thinking that is because everybody can find something interesting at the beginning, and many of people that are interested in the construction of the Titanic because it was a new one, a beautiful one, and you have also people that like the story of the passenger, the rich, other one for the immigrant, other one they like story of the crew, about equipment of the ship. Everybody can find something, and when you start to put your nose in the Titanic, you can get out after you're stuck on it, and because it's, from my point of view, I don't know another event who is like 100 years old, and so many people are interested in, even the young kid. Sometimes when I'm doing the lecture, there is little girl, little boy, like 7, 8 years. They ask me questions. Even sometimes I feel they know much more than me, because they have very interesting questions that never heard. I like that because the kids, they have sometimes questions. They don't think, oh, my question will be bad or anything like that. They ask you the question. They are very spontaneous. Sometimes they tell me, oh, I have a stupid question. See, there is no stupid question, that doesn't exist, And the kids are very good for that because they ask you questions. Sometimes I say, they explain to me sometimes, and I say, oh, maybe you're right. That's why I say sometimes I say to some kids, hey, you know more than me about the story, And I don't know, think of that. If you know any event, I don't know, any kind of event, even when the people go to the Everest, okay, part of the population like it, other people that say, we don't care about that. With the Titanic, from people from, I will say 7 to 80 years old, you can find people interested in the Titanic for any different reason at the beginning. And after, more you learn about the Titanic, more you like to go in different direction, and you'll find a lot of things.